This is a major warning. They are sending out letters right now, and this is going to affect you personally. This is going to affect the food you eat, the food supply. We could see shortages, and we could see prices go up even more, right? The government is sending out letters, and they are warning that they are going to shut it down. They're going to shut things down, and farmers are coming out and raising the alarm and saying that this isn't good. They're saying farmers are going to go bankrupt. They're saying that they're going to have to shut down, they're going to have to sell their land. And this seems like a recurring theme, okay? Lands being shut down, being destroyed, and then people come in on the ashes and buy it up for cheap when this land is no longer usable or available. And then the problem's solved, and then they solve the problem, and now the land is usable again. We keep seeing this pattern happen over and over, and it seems like we're seeing this happen again, right? Farmers are sounding the alarm right now, right? So let's get into the details here really quick, guys. Just hit it up for me down there. It helps to get these warnings out so people know what's going on in our country, because this isn't just like breaking news. They're not going to tell you about this because their shareholders, their advertisers and stuff, they're funding this. They're honestly funding this and facilitating this, and a lot of them want this to happen, right? So that's why you don't see certain things on the news. You only see stories that are funded and approved to be there, right? So let's get into this. Farmers are sounding the alarm, and they're saying that this is a big warning, and we're going to see major problems with the food supply, and we're going to see farmers go bankrupt too. So I want you to listen to this farmer really quick. All right, they're saying that the government is coming in and they're shutting their farms down because they're shutting the water down. All right, listen to this really quick, this farmer.
Hey, Christopher, do you see this?
See what?
Well, we just got our curtailment letter from the Idaho Department of Water Resources, and they're telling us we have to shut our 8 wells off.
Shut our water off? What for?
Oh, just a bunch of ridiculous stuff. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
So this is a letter that we just got. We didn't think we were going to be affected by this curtailment because most of our farm ground, all these sprinklers going back over here, most of our farm ground is surface water through canals. We do have 8 wells, but 2 of them are emergency wells, and I think we've converted 2 or 3 more over to surface water, but we do use 3 wells. We use 3 wells to water our crops. So they want us to shut our water off. This is from the Idaho Department of Water Resources, and they want us to turn our wells off.
And it's not just us. So the Idaho water curtailment is affecting about 500,000 acres of farmland here in Idaho.
So the problem is, and why this curtailment is happening, is because down in Twin Falls, there's the Twin Falls Canal Company, and they were getting a little short of water. So in 2015, they came up with an agreement of how much water the well users, the groundwater users, could use. So they were short 74,000 acre feet of water, and they were short that in 2021. So from 2015 clear up to 2021, we were putting way more. It was more than double the amount of water we were using. We were putting back in the aquifer. Well, 2021 came along, and there was a drought, and that drought caused us to use more than we used the same amount, but because there was less water that year, it was a hot, dry year, we weren't able to put as much back into the aquifer, and that's when they were short. So 74,000 acre feet is essentially 12 and a half days of water in their canal. So this canal that's down there it waters 200,000-ish acres, and I think there's about 5,000 customers. Well, because they were short 12 and a half days of water, they want to shut off 500,000 acres of water and 6,400 customers' wells. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
All right, did you hear that? 5,000 custom or 6,500 customers' wells. Let me hear that again. All right, let me hear that again. Get the number right.
Shut off 500,000 acres of water and 6,400 customers' wells.
6,400. All right, I got the numbers a little mixed up. 6,400 farmers' wells, customers, not even just individual wells, customers. It's insane. 6,400 farmers. Dunzo. Their wells shut off. They're not going to be able to operate. They're not going to be able to grow the food. This is where a lot of the potatoes are grown for the country. And we could see major potato shortages coming up soon. And potatoes are used in everything. They're everything. Every time you go out to eat, you're getting something. You're getting a baked potato. You're getting French fries. You're getting anything. There's always some kind of potato in the American diet. It's a staple. Okay, and it's classic. It gives you a ton of calories, a ton of vitamins, nutrients, okay, and energy just from a potato. And we're going to be growing a crop here in the fall very soon. In just like a month or two, we're going to get some potatoes going, all right, once it cools down here. Because we grow through the winter here. We're super deep down south, so we don't get any frost or anything. So we grow main crops all through the winter, all right? So, but this is their time to grow, and they're doing this right. So think of how crazy this is too, by the way. How messed up and diabolical this is. Look at this. Look at the field behind these farmers. You see that field? That's filled with crops. That looks like hay or alfalfa or something. They already planted everything. It's into June. Right? They already planted everything. They already spent all this money planting seeds, fertilizer, everything. Time, money, labor, everything. And now, after everything's planted, they're saying, hey, wait a minute. Cut the water off. This is insane. This is insane. Like, they didn't know they were going to do this. They couldn't even give anyone a heads up 6 months ago and be like, hey, there's going to be no water this season. And you guys just need to file a claim with your insurance or whatever and just file a loss. All right, that's what a lot of farmers are going to do. But a lot of them are just going to be not have that option available. They might already have claims. They might already have things going on. And they're over leveraged already, and they can't have this, and it's gonna make them go into bankruptcy, right? Make them sell the farm or sell their tractor, their assets to pay for things, all right? That's what they have to do when stuff like this happens. And just think about how crazy this is. They didn't even tell anyone. They could have warned people at least 6 months ago and been like, hey, the water's gonna be cut off soon. I don't agree with this at all. They shouldn't cut the water off at all. But they could have warned people, all right? And the other thing here, too, is that water is not like you think. Most of the country in the U.S. lives east of the Mississippi, all right? 2/3 of the population lives east of the Mississippi. And if you live east of the Mississippi, then you don't even understand the water rights, really, unless you've, like, been out west and you've studied it. I was shocked when I started looking into this stuff. I grew up in the deep south my whole life, right? And I was shocked to learn the water rules and everything. You can't just go, you can drill a domestic well for your house, right? But even that's heavily regulated and permitted. You can't use it for outside watering, all these things. But to get an ag well or a livestock well, you have to have permits for it. And a lot of places you have to have certain acreage. All right, so you have to have over 35 acres in places like Colorado to even have an ag well or a livestock well. And then you have to get approved for it as well through the water authority for the state. And then there's things like water rights, senior water rights, junior water rights, And when there's things like droughts and stuff like this where water is scarce, then people that have senior rights get cuts first, and then people that have junior rights, they get access to the water last. They get whatever's left after the senior water rights users already used it up, if there's a shortage or anything. Okay, so it's very complicated and strange. There's canals, there's ditches, there's all these systems that are in place, gate systems, all this stuff, reservoirs. The water laws are very complex, and it's a very regulated resource out west in these western states. And they've been talking about doing stuff like this for years to the wells, like putting meters on the well. Because you think you have a well, and it's like, oh, I have a well, I have unlimited water. That's how it is down here. We just use our water up. Anything. I drink the water, everything. It's good water. All right, clean water. It tastes way better and way cleaner than anything from the store. It's not in a plastic bottle or plastic junk. It's just straight from the ground with copper piping. All right, copper pipes, everything. No plastic or anything. So it's just straight fresh water. Use it for the animals, use it for cleaning, everything, all right? And there's no limit. I could feed all my animals, but out west, you can't use the water outside. If you have a domestic well, you cannot use it to water your chickens, to water your garden, to water your cows in a lot of states. There's regulations on all this stuff. You have to keep it all inside, all right? So it's highly regulated and controlled already. And now they're really clamping down. So this isn't good for other states as well. Colorado's next. All right, they're going to say, hey, they've already been talking about this for years. We're going to put meters on the wells, all right, especially places like the San Luis Valley. They've been talking about, and they've been doing it, shutting down farmers and restricting them for the past decade. So this is going to really affect our food supply. But then the other thing that we're so hypocritical about too is that these foreign countries can come into our country, buy up farmland, all right, buy up 100,000 acres, grow a ton of hay and alfalfa, all right, and use all the water, suck the wells dry. This is happening all over the Southwest Arizona. They're growing a ton of alfalfa out in the desert where it's not supposed to be grown. They're sucking the wells dry. These farmers aren't doing it. The guys you see on the screen, this is not what they're doing. This is what foreign countries are doing. They're sucking the wells dry, and then they're sending the hay overseas. They're shipping it over to China, to Asia, to other countries around the world, the Middle East. Okay, they're doing this, buying up farmland and then shipping the crops that they use with our water, our soil, our nutrients, everything, and then they use it to go feed their people and their animals, all right? Sucking our resources dry, and then it affects guys like this that are responsible using their water to grow food. They know what they're doing. They're not trying to use excess water or waste water. They know what they're doing. And they suck the underwater rivers and aquifers dry for these guys, because something that a lot of people don't even realize too is that there are underground rivers. There are underground lakes and massive aquifers. We all know there's like an aquifer in Florida, okay? Freshwater aquifer deep under the ground. But this happens all over the place. There's entire lakes that are deep underground that we can tap into, rivers that flow through. They've mapped them out, okay? And these things actually can become scarce, but they've been tracking the water, and all the levels have been at record high. There's been record snowfall the past few years. I was out there, not this winter, but last winter, and it was insane. It was insane. It was a crazy amount of snow constantly. Temperatures were insane, right? It's been record snowpack. They've been breaking records all over the country for this. The reservoirs are filled up. Lake Mead's filled up. Everything's filled up right now. So this doesn't even make sense. That's what this guy was saying, is that they've been replenishing these reservoirs, but for some reason, they're shutting them down still, right? So this seems like another shutdown, another attack. Think of all this stuff. We got this chicken stuff. This is insane. They're just getting rid of chickens left and right, right? And that's affecting the cows too. Getting rid of cows, shutting down milk production, shutting down all the stuff. And now, even if you're just growing veggies, they're shutting you down. All right? They're saying you don't get any water. This is insane. Our country cannot sustain this hit after hit after hit to our food supply, and it seems like it's been ongoing for the past 2 years consecutively. All right, let's listen to what these guys were saying for just a few more minutes here.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. That's in the Eastern Snake Plain Aquifer. So that's wells that come in the aquifer, potentially drying up extensive farmland across several counties.
Yeah, I think there's actually about 18 counties that have a little bit, but our county, Bingham County, has like almost 150,000 acres that are being curtailed, that they want to shut off, just in Bingham County. So Bingham County grows more potatoes than any other county in the state. And just in Bingham County, there's $1.3-ish billion spent in the county. And if that water was curtailed, it would reduce the amount of money spent in the county by $300 to $400 million. So you wouldn't just be putting farmers out of business. You'd be putting people who deliver gas out of business, people who sell groceries. You'd be putting all the equipment people out of business, the repairmen, the servicemen. We just had people coming out working on our pivots and stuff. You'd be putting all those guys out of business, which would hurt everyone.
Trucking companies would go out of business.
Yep. You have a lot of guys who have storages for potatoes. All those guys, they would no longer be getting rent for their potatoes. It would just devastate the entire Idaho economy if this happened. It's not just localized. And actually, it would pretty well be felt nationwide. I was doing the math, and we have one field. Well, it's actually 3 fields, but it's all on wells. But it's about 182 acres. I did the math on what that crop would be turned into down the road. So this year it's in grain. If that grain doesn't get grown and doesn't get produced and sold to the processing plant, that grain in just that 182 acres would produce about 1 million loaves of bread. If it was in potatoes, if that 182 acres was in potatoes, it would produce about 24.5 million large McDonald's French fries. Just so everybody has some perspective. That's 182 acres.
They're trying to curtail 500,000 acres, which is, it's not just going to be affected here in Idaho, but nationally and globally. We're going to feel the effects of all of our food prices going skyrocketed.
Yeah, I mean, you think about our little 182 acres is going to be a million loaves of bread or 25-ish million large French fries. It's going to be in the billions of loaves of bread and billions upon billions of French fries.
All right, so you guys heard that. That was absolutely wild, right? The numbers that he was saying. It's going to be billions. That's what I was saying. French fries, baked potato. Every time you eat anywhere, eat at home, it's just American food, right? Hamburgers, hot dogs, and French fries, right? Everyone eats this stuff, even if you eat it at home. Even if you make it yourself, all right? Everyone loves a good hamburger, good cheeseburger, and some hot dogs. I was just eating hot dogs 2 days ago, all right? My kids. So, and I was eating French fries with it, all right? This is going to affect everyone. He was saying just his plot alone is 20 million McDonald's French fries. Insane the numbers on this. And it's going to affect the economy. It's going to affect all these jobs, all these people that depend. This is what the industry is in the area. It's like old mining towns. When they shut down the mine, now it's a ghost town. Now nobody lives there. There's like 100 people that live there. That's just, nobody even works there. They drive into the city to work there. That's what happens. They're going to turn these towns into ghost towns from shutting down these farms, all right? And they're saying it's going to affect the entire nation, all right? So we need to say no. We need to say we don't want this. We need to support our farmers our local farmers, even these big farmers, they're all critical, right? I don't like big GMO pesticides and all this junk, but it's still critical. We have to feed a nation. We have to feed 350 million people, all right? We can't have it perfect, all right? So we need these farmers. We have to have them, and we need to support them, and there needs to be a movement to say, hey, don't turn their water off. We need this water, because once they get it in Idaho, and it's kind of shocking they're doing this in Idaho, right? Because you would think it would be one of these other states that are more not as like freedom oriented. Like Idaho's very like just do whatever you want out there. That's kind of the vibe, okay? And same thing with government. It's a lot of just like low government and low regulation. You would think this would be happening in other western states first, especially states that are dependent on the Colorado River. Idaho is not even directly dependent on the Colorado River. It has its own water and river systems, okay? So it's kind of surprising that it's happening in Idaho, and if it can happen there, it's probably going to spread to other states as well. And this could affect Nebraska. This could affect Kansas. It's not like they're living in a oasis out there. There's no trees in Kansas. There's no trees in Nebraska. I've driven through it a dozen times, both of them. There's no trees. It's pretty dry, and it's all center pivots. It's all just irrigation. It's not like it's just growing, okay, because there's so much rain. It's all irrigated. It's borderline a desert, okay? Idaho is a high desert, so it gets, a lot of these states are, a lot of western states are high desert, so it gets precipitation mostly in the winter from snowpack and things like this from mountains, all right? And then in the lower parts in the valleys, it's more of a desert that gets low precipitation, and it depends on the runoff and the rivers from these mountains, all right? But there's a whole lot of corn and cattle and everything in Nebraska and Kansas, and they don't have mountains, and they could see situations like this too, all right? So this seems like a theme we're seeing, where they're trying to shut down farms, take land, seize land, and affect the food supply. So this is your sign, guys. This is your warning sign. Start growing your own food. Get out of the cities if you can. All right, I know not everybody can, but at least put it on your goal list to try to do that in the next few years, to get ready for that. All right, and if you are somewhere where you can have stuff, just do it. I'm sick of this stuff. I'm sick of it. Everyone needs to be growing their own food. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter what they say. You got a HOA, whatever. I'm at the point where it's just like, just stick it to them. You're growing food. You're not doing anything bad or illegal. You're just growing food. It's about time we need to say, just screw off. No, these farmers just need to say, no, we're not doing this. They need to just all say they're not doing it, and we're not going to listen. And that's where I am too, especially with growing your own food, homesteading, all this stuff. They're saying gardening's bad for you, all these things. You're not doing anything wrong. This is a human right to grow your own food, all right? And there should be really no major restrictions on it at all. Everyone should be growing their own food, and there shouldn't be any regulations on this, all right? But they're trying to do it. Chickens, all this stuff. I even had some weird stuff going on with chickens, with insurance, all right? They were creeping around wondering about chickens, all right? So they're trying it, but my chickens aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. You're gonna have to come rip these chickens out of my hand, all right? So come and take it for the chicks, all right? So thank you guys. I hope you guys are getting ready, getting prepared, and listening to these warnings, because they're real. It's go time. There's no time to waste anymore. There's just too many moving parts going on. It's exhausting to even keep up with it. There's like a dozen other stories that I could talk about today on here. There's big wars going on. There's geopolitical things happening in the world. There's domestic politics going on. There's all this stuff going on. All right? There's a dozen other things that we could talk about on here, but it's exhausting, right? But the point is, it's go time. And that's where these farmers are getting to, right? People in Idaho aren't pushovers. They're not going to just take this, right? There's going to be resistance. So thank you guys. I hope you have big blessings for your life, your family, your homestead. And I hope you guys have a big, blessed day.